folks. Are you able to see my screen? And please, I would be very glad if we make it a conversation rather than a simple speech. All right, I see some fingers, thumbs up. All right, good. Then I would suggest a following presentation to go smooth. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Viktor P, and I'm the VP for Sales and responsible for our MBA Tech division within Mühlbauer Group, which basically covers the complete battery-related equipment which we are manufacturing and all e-mobility related topics. So I'll work in this industry for the past 6 years, I would say, covering the battery cell assembly market and witnessed, the big hype and then, let's be honest, the big downfall on the Western world market, and that's basically the topic what I would like to give you a bit more insights today. I'll have probably around 15 minutes, a short presentation, 15 to 20 minutes. And then I would be very glad if we could have a very open Q&A. I'll stay a couple minutes longer. For those who know me, I'm happy to have any passionate discussion about equipment, about cell assembly equipment, and about batteries, right? So why from concept to capacity? Actually, I was thinking how to name this presentation. For those who don't know, I already had multiple presentations at this forum before, and the last time I was talking about stacking and challenging of stacking within prismatic and pouch cells, and it was about 6 months ago. But I have to say that the market changed significantly since, and therefore I wanted to focus today on a particular place within the scale-up procedure for many companies. And no matter if we talk about companies from North America or we talk about companies from Europe, basically all of them face the same challenges, and how to overcome that challenge, how to overcome the difficulty level from having a good idea and bringing it into capacity scaling without having to experience the same failures as multiple companies just experienced in the past couple of months and years. So let us start. I'd like to have a very brief introduction and recap on what has been said last time, or where do we stand as an organization. I'd like to just point out, not to spend a lot of time on some of the specific failures of the markets. Then I'd like to introduce you the concept of how we would like to bring the companies into capacities with de-risking those specific process steps within battery assembly. Obviously, how we are going to do that with the integrated battery production ecosystem within Mühlbauer, not just Mühlbauer, but within generic equipment space which is out there on the market, and lessons learned, right? So, I mean, there is I think no room in this time to make the same mistakes as we have done in the last 5 years. I'd like to point out one very important topic that most of what I'm going to say today and what I'm going to mention relates to Western world battery market and creation of the ecosystem within Europe and within North America, where main market is. So in terms of introduction, to give you a bit of a recap for those who don't know Mühlbauer, we are a family-owned organization based out of a small town in Bavaria, Germany, where I also sit in our headquarters in Roding. We have combined approximately 5,000 employees all over the world at around 40 sites. And we have seven main technology centers around the world, including Asia. However, it's absolutely crucial to mention that all our R&D related to battery cell assembly is concentrated within Europe and North America. We have four key business lines, which I want to walk you through just very shortly, that you understand a bit of a background for those who don't know Mühlbauer. We are coming from the parts and system space, so that's how Mr. Mühlbauer established the organization 44 years ago with manufacturing precision parts, which I always say until today, it's one of our biggest added values. We do build all our equipment internally. So over the years, we delivered more than 90,000 machines and automation lines coming from the automation division, which basically covers equipment for semiconductor industry, RFID industry, where we are market leading in certain areas, and obviously also smart card industry, which is one of the most important for us, where we actually build smart cards, understand please machines for credit cards, ID documents, passports. Third division is called security, where we basically cover government solutions all over the world. We are able to basically cover the complete security infrastructure of a government, including, as I said, security documents production. And ATEC, that's the topic what we are going to be focusing on today, which is basically the youngest division within Mühlbauer Group, where we focus on e-mobility related products, mainly on battery cell assembly lines. So if somebody wonders how we have been able to come into this area, it was simply said by a very smart combination of our key technical competencies in terms of high speed pick and place and sensitive material handling. So in the past 5 years, we have focused on really investing into the industry. To mention, we have invested more than 100 million euros into developing battery cell assembly lines here at Mühlbauer. So we really scaled up our capacities, our know-how. Obviously, we have built a special team, people who were with us for decades. Some of the key engineering resources which we had, and basically we created this strong team working on purely developing battery cell assembly lines. So obviously covering all the innovations. I have to say, for those who know, for those who doesn't, of course, unfortunately, I can't mention the names, but we are proud to say that we have worked with most prestigious European gigafactories, which grew over the last couple of years here in Europe. Some of them more successfully, some of them less successfully, unfortunately. But basically what we required from these partners is definitely the know-how related to batteries, the experiences from a lot of folks coming from the industry, from Asia. Obviously, time which we needed to develop that, and our intention has always been to create a partnership, right? So this is what we did, and this is what we are still doing. That's our core target, to really develop and build partnerships. There is no way of success in this industry without a very close partnership between equipment manufacturer and battery manufacturer. Now, what we have done is obviously we have entered, as helping build some lab equipment for some of our partners, which requires followed with pilot equipment. Usually we speak about 1-2 ppm lines, which were, producing AB, probably C samples, some of them, and obviously we having all the capacities to bring the giga scale into the industry. So this is sort of a recap from our previous discussions which we've had here, and basically this is what we are still doing until today. However, we have also adjusted our strategy slightly, which I'm going to come to a bit later. So obviously what we talked about were the challenges of the cell assembly market, mainly set here in Europe. I mean, we need to secure the reliable supply chain, right? Obviously the target was or is to be more sustainable and create this localization within the industry. Of course, investment quality. Obviously, we don't need to talk about that. We've seen what happened up in the north, scaling of these production facilities. So we have our own recipes for some of these challenges, which is building our own experts, invest into R&D, build know-how, and even bring our own giga capacity to be ready, basically when the market is ready to consume that. So let me start with the downfall. Obviously, I don't want to go into any particular projects which did not turn out well. The point which I want to make is there were some which we identified as similarities among these failures on the market, which has been or there were definitely great ideas, great intentions. However, the very wide scale up and possibly a very wide focus and not being narrowed down to really make sure that we are having the ability to produce batteries on an equipment which is sustainable was obviously not there. So what are the lessons learned from many of these projects across Europe and North America for us as an ecosystem? This is what I tend to answer today. So in terms of peak, what we've been doing, we have witnessed this huge, let's call it the first wave within the industry, where we have developed and built 11 high volume battery lines. We talk about 8 parts per minute lines, which are visible in Germany. We have also entered the next generation battery cell technologies, building and learning about lithium metal, silicon anode type of batteries, of course supported with all these lab lines which a smaller organization need on the side, tailor-made for their needs, and support the market with that. Of course, there are also some unfortunate things which happened. We did not get to deliver some of those lines due to the failure of our partners, but we have clearly committed to the market and said we are going to be continuing working on our R&D, and we wait for the second wave. However, we need to definitely utilize all the lessons learned which we are taking from this first wave, which are for us, in our eyes, definitely focus on the next technologies. I think by now everybody realizes that with the standard battery cell technology, the Western world ecosystem will have difficulties to beat our Asian colleagues in terms of price, speed. Therefore, we are also taking a heavy look into the next generation of cells. So what does that mean actually from concept to capacity? In order to give you a bit more understanding in that, Obviously, there are companies with great ideas, great battery technologies, having great products, defining the great chemistries for their production. Obviously, marketing it to big OEMs, of course, challenging investors to invest, raising money to be able to scale this process. And what we are seeing in these procedures is that proof of manufacturing, let's call it a proof of concept, is missing in many cases, where the A-sample batteries are built somehow handmade, and then the scale-up procedures are happening fast without enough attention for the cooperation requirements, as I said, between the battery cell maker and the equipment builder. So how we would like to, let's say, fill up this gap in terms of, from the perspective of equipment builders, is we would like to focus on mitigation points within the battery production or the assembly of the battery cells. So I'd like to walk you through some of the main risks which we have encountered in the process of request to scale up some of our battery partners. So at the very early stage, what we see in terms of process challenges is a lack of know-how, lack of experience of building the battery cells. Having said that, please imagine, we see a lot of partners coming with lack of experiences in producing their own cell in high volumes. They usually produce the cells in a semi-automated fashion or even a manual fashion, whereas we are coming into the scale-up procedures given specification of the battery cell, but having no experience in actually building that cell. So what we'd like to bring on the table is to offer all our equipment, which we have right now in our special lab, where we can cover all the processes of battery production, from notching until filling for pouch and prismatic, to basically showcase our partners that this is the way how we will bring you to the scale and to the target capacity which you require. So here I would like to just showcase some of the main risks which are happening within basically these procedures, specifically mentioning battery manufacturers coming to Mühlbauer asking for a line, right? Without having experience of cutting their electrodes in an automated fashion, right? There are materials out there which are basically having differences in terms of processing speeds with a factor 5, which eventually means that the same material but two separate rolls can have a speed starting from 30 to 180 meters per minute. If the battery cell manufacturers are often not aware what are the reasons, it's of course the mixture, it's the thickness of the material, it's the quality of the material, it's the exposure to outside world, not being in the dry room, is the stacker speed which is required for building up the scale, right? But they have never tested stacking their type of separator in a high speed, how the wrinkles are affecting their cell. These are all special details which are not being able to be encountered when you are producing in a small scale. Rather, you witness it when you really start to work with high volume tooling. And basically, these are some of the examples which also those factories are facing. And that's why we have seen all these news that the European ecosystem is not able to scale up, even though they are having the system and the machines and the tooling on stock. So the next is definitely sort of capex. We see those challenges within Western world, of course, capex challenges from our side. We are being pressed. On the other side, I would like to point out that also this thinking about capex and initial investment from the battery cell manufacturers, we always like to include inline CT scanning possibilities into a line. Yeah, does it increase the overall cost? Yes, it does, obviously, with much less than some would say. But how we can improve the increased OEE eventually of those assembly lines. This is how we need to look into it eventually. Reliable timelines. Obviously, material know-how plays a crucial role, and I think it's heavily underestimated. So having proper material know-how may help a lot to fulfill the timelines, which are often highly challenging, as we all know. Team cooperation. We are offering offices even for our partners within our facilities that we can really highly closely cooperate with battery cell manufacturers. Early access to samples, which we encounter. Of course, we need the materials, the samples, basically from the very beginning. Even better if we are able to get into discussions during the product design, where we can also consult and help to design the cell properly to be more easy manufacturable in high scale. And of course, bureaucracy is killing Western world. Just to mention an example, a colleague of mine just recently visited a Chinese factory which is a second factory of a German manufacturer. And a German person in China said that the thing what takes here, I make a widget here with my colleagues and the thing is changed overnight. I need 20 signatures in Germany and it takes me 2 weeks to make that small change. So even though the change would not be maybe suitable, it's again a lessons learned. So this is definitely something what we need to change if we want to succeed. So in terms of scale up, as I mentioned, we are providing basically the complete production processes for our partners that they can basically come and we will walk them through the scale-up procedures, building hundreds of samples with our equipment within dry rooms. So the green marked are buildings where we actually build 4 major dry rooms where we can put into each approximately 1 gigawatt hours of equipment. It's also very unique for equipment manufacturer to be able to build such an infrastructure. Obviously, we have multiple locations which are participating on our battery scale up. So we are definitely ready to build gigafactories. Now, in terms of processes which we are offering to our key partners are basically the complete assembly processes for prismatic and pouch cells, starting from notching until filling or helium leak test in terms of prismatic. So basically we require to provide sufficient amount of material, and then we take the responsibility and define the assembly requirements for the cell, which will mitigate the risks heavily before we go into gigascale. So we have available all the notching or tooling which is needed in terms of laser, in terms of mechanical cutting, double-side notching, including slitting, semi-automated notching, whichever would fit into the scale-up procedures of our partners. We can also do, obviously, full punch if needed. However, we have seen that the preference recently on the market is going towards high-speed laser notching. In terms of stacking, by the way, just to not to forget, all of what I'm going to say is available in production in our facilities. So don't misunderstand That's not a presentation and a PPT, but those are real machines which are in production in our dry room. So in terms of stacking, of course, we offer basically a high volume stacking immediately, even for low volume production, that we can witness how the stack is behaving, how the materials are behaving. We are fine tuning then the stack into perfection, that we can make sure that the overall alignment of the electrode is precise enough, how the wrinkles are affecting us during, let's say, when we create vacuum, in case of pouch cell, etc., etc. So what we are not doing it manually, we need to do it on a high volume tool to ensure that once we multiplicate this system, that our OEE ramp up is obviously there and natural, right? So in terms of tap welding, we have encountered a lot of materials which are not even being able to be welded in some cases. So this sort of concept phase is definitely important, that we define the proper welding procedures. What type of welding do we use? Are we using ultrasonic welding? Are we using laser welding? Which type of ultrasonic welding sonotrodes are we using? Etc. etc. So these are, of course, crucial things, because when it comes to scale and these processes are not properly defined, it can affect heavily not only the pricing and the expenditures, but also the time, which is often crucial. CT, we definitely always like to include CT scan. We have inline CTs integrated, which allow us to basically check and control the stack quality. We count the sheets, we check basically all four corners of the cell in a fully automated manner, and we are able to integrate those in high volume lines as well. In terms of final welding, again, absolutely crucial. Wherever welding is basically involved, we need to see the materials. We need to understand the behavior. One lid is not the same as the other one, believe me. So it's definitely crucial that we can have that hands-on during the scale-up. In terms of wrapping, pretty much same thing. Mylar wrapping or conventional wrapping. That's always something where we need to see the material. How is the adhesive behaving? How precise do we need to be compared to lid, which is already placed? Cell to can. How are we measuring the gap in between the can and the lid? Before we do the tag welding to precisely position the lid. We have unique camera systems which are actually measuring the gap to ensure that we are lasering properly, that we don't have 50% waste, because having an NOK part in a cell to can module means you need to throw away at least 2 stacks if it comes to the more conventional cells. So then obviously we integrate one more X-ray to really double check the quality of the cell, if there were no shiftages, etc., etc. And we finish up with the helium check, where we basically ensure that there is no leakage in the unique chambers. All of these tooling is included in the dry room, and basically the strategy is rather simple. For prismatic cells, we adjust the tooling to the size of the cell with a sort of, I would say, simple change kit, which then allows us to produce cells for our future partners. Same procedures we can basically provide for pouch cell assembly. So in terms of deep drawing, sealing and packaging, degassing, filling, all these procedures we can have as well. So in terms of recommendations for the markets, and maybe concluding on that a little bit by 2 or 3 sentences, I'd like to add that before in the past, during the first wave, which I have shown before, the trends were from battery cell manufacturers following. We have the cell, we have the partners, we have the big OEMs covering. In the better case, we have the orders. In worst cases, we don't, but we're going to have those ones. But here is a specification. We have the coverage of our investors. We need to scale. We need 1 gig, 2 gig, 16 gig of equipment. Please scale up. And I have to say that ourselves, we also did not realize, and we could not read due to a bit of lack of experience back then, what is actually the know-how of our partners in terms of scale-up procedures, which we have not been able to identify back then, which we are able to identify now. That's why we have added this intermediate step called proof of manufacturing, where we rather provide the opportunity for our partners to witness the scale-up procedure within our facilities, with our machines, with our invested machines and infrastructure, the dry rooms, I mean, that we can see together and have those learnings that, all right, the specification is perfect, but this is not the type of weld we can use. So it makes no sense to scale up with this type of welding procedure. Let's change it to another one to make it easier during the scale-up procedures. So I have to say that this is more or less a must when we are building now a line, that we must go through this iteration procedure together to have this sort of proof of manufacturing. So in terms of lessons learned, I think I'm not going to say anything new that nobody from you have heard in the past. Absolutely strong and strategic partnerships which we are intending to build. It's definitely investment into R&D. Avoid same mistakes, as I already said multiple times today. We need to create an ecosystem within Europe and North America and localize the supply chain, which is 100% needed. In certain cases, unfortunately, we are not able to be dependent on our Asian colleagues. We need to build experts, we need to build know-how, and I added one last comment here, next generation batteries. The other day, I had a very interesting visitor coming from North America who said a very interesting thought. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Europe and North America to beat our Asian colleagues on LFP or standard batteries. So unless we do not focus on the next generation batteries, which will bring added value, then it's going to be very hard for us to compete. So that would be it from my side. I really very much appreciate the time. I hope I took exactly 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I try to be precise. Thank you very much for your attention. And I hope the unmute button now works. I'm more than happy to